Oh. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Africa Fire Mission's weekly trainings. We're so excited to have you here today with us and at training every week. We continue to offer these weekly trainings free of charge for you. And our trainers come as volunteers to provide the trainings to you, both from the United States, Europe, and Africa. So very excited to have you all here. Today, we're going to be talking about planning school fire drills and inspections. We've had a couple trainings recently on community fire prevention and sensitization, had some training on pre-planning for businesses, and which a school is a business in your community. But we want to especially talk about schools, because we know that in many places in Africa, schools have an unusual number of fires, and also that fire drills that can happen and inspections that can happen in school can influence the rest of the community that's impacted by fires. So excited to just have you all with us. And Brad is one of our excellent instructors who's been working with Africa Fire Mission for many years, and really since the beginning, and helped us initially develop our community fire sensitization program. So really excited to have him with us today. Has lots of experience in being in some of the schools in Africa. And so please interact, ask questions as he goes along. So now I'm going to pass it along to Jose and invite him to give us some words of encouragement.
Thanks, Nancy. Truly appreciate. Welcome, Brad. It's been a minute. That's what we say here in Kenya. Welcome, everybody, in today's class. And in today's encouragement, I just wanted to encourage us for about a minute or less about, again, what we've been talking about, what actually is in your toolbox. Yeah. And in this particular case, for example, what you wear, your bunker pant, what do you usually carry? You know, maybe you carry a webbing, maybe you carry a screwdriver or something to either help you bail out when there's danger or to assist your fellow firefighter. So today, what our instructor, Brad, is going to take us through is something that you can actually add onto your toolbox, you know, whatever you have, not necessarily inside your bunker pant, but on top of your knowledge, you know, what you learned in school and everything else. It is absolutely important that this information that you're going to be taught today, you will actually get to use it practically, either in the schools around or the businesses around where you serve. So I've been privileged to benefit from Brad's knowledge, and I'm so excited that he gets to join us today, that we can add a tool inside our toolbox. Karibu sana, Brad, and the floor is yours. Take us through, sir.
So anyway, thank you so much for the kind words. So we're going to talk about the fire drills and planning for the fire drills and inspection. And as Nancy alluded to, you know, she talked a little bit about doing the the community fire prevention, and working in the schools like this. This can be a part of your community fire prevention for your fire brigades, and you can make this a part of your community fire prevention, your community fire outreach, being a part of the fire brigades. So that's what I want to allude to as we get started. And this is has become an additional personal interest to me, as I retired as a career firefighter 7 years ago, and I volunteer now. And I actually work as a substitute teacher in the public schools, so I get to get in and interact with the students. So this is even more personal for me as far as making sure that the children are safe. And I've gotten to participate in fire drills as a teacher. So anyway, let's go ahead and we'll get started. So as part of my first slide, I actually put this up here as you know, to make sure as fire brigade members you become involved. Get out there and make sure that you get involved with the schools. Okay, interact, get those relationships going with the staff members of those schools and with the children out in the schools. That makes a big difference in your communities as far as the I guess what the community thinks, the relationships that you can get going with those communities. And as Jose has proven through some of the communities, what a difference it can make. And what I've seen just by our community fire prevention programs, reaching out to the communities, what a difference that makes. So as far as planning and getting ready, we have to plan for the for those fire drills. Okay, so that's where reaching out to those schools, you know, assist those staff members with planning the drills. You guys are the experts. You know what should be going on with the drills. They're going to look to you. So, you know, go out, answer the questions as they go. You know, reach out to them at this, you know, before the terms start, and, you know, answer questions. You know, just reach out and say, you know, we know that you guys need to have fire drills. What can we do to help you plan and make a good drill? Okay. You know, talk to the staff ahead of time, you know, as far as when they're going to have a fire drill in these schools, and say, hey, we'd like to come and watch you have a fire drill, and you know, possibly give you some feedback. You know, just give them your number to the fire brigade even, and tell them, hey, let us know when you're going to have a fire drill, and you know, we'll come and watch and see what kind of you know, help we can give you, what kind of assistance we can give you as far as making your fire drills better. So that's all things you can do as far as, you know, doing things to help them make a better fire drill. In addition, while you're out there at the schools, you know, I put this last thing out there, and this is actually a picture from AFM's website. You can see the firefighters out there teaching a lesson. Go out there, teach a lesson. They're doing a fire extinguisher drill. Go out there, just interact with the kids, play a game, you know, teach the kids a lesson, stop, drop, and roll, some kind of a lesson, just to get out there and interact with the community, build those relationships. Yay. You know, continuing on with pre-planning that drill. Okay. Some things that you want to go over as you help them pre-plan that drill. Okay. You want to help them identify your exit routes. Okay. Help them identify those. Help them identify assembly areas. You want to make those assembly areas outside and away, you know, away from those buildings, lots, and in areas that are, like I say, as far away from the buildings as possible, and that will handle the large volume of students and staff that you're going to have. Okay, identify some kind of an alarm system that is knowledgeable to everybody, and make that known to everybody, to all the students, all the staff, everyone that's going to be in that school. You know, that can be a whistle, that can be a bell, it can be a horn. If they actually have an alarm system in the school, whatever that may be, identify what that system is going to be for notifying everybody in that building. Identify that while you're doing your pre-plan. Identify the party that's going to be responsible for sounding that alarm. Okay, and notifying the fire brigade. That's very important. You have to have somebody that's going to be responsible. I think in Kenya, from what I've seen, most schools have a security guard. If that's this, you know, that could be something that's on the security guard. You know, it could be on a lead staff member, whoever it is. Make sure that that somebody is assigned that task, and that it is known to everybody on the staff. Okay. Okay. Another thing you want to have posted in each classroom and basically each room in that building, and in the dormitories, visible to everyone, a map basically of the building with arrows leading to your escape door, showing how to get out of the building and leading to your assembly area. Okay, that needs to be posted. Okay, your actions when you have a fire drill. Okay, teachers, every morning you need to have a copy of your attendance list. You need to make sure that the teachers have that. Okay, teachers, let me back up a little bit. The teachers, when they leave the building, the teachers need to take that copy of the attendance list with them, of that roll with them. That's for accountability purposes, to make sure that they have all their students. Okay, and I know something that needs to be reinforced with those teachers, and being a staff member myself, you have kids that tend to leave and go out of the classroom. They might have to go to the office. They may have to do a restroom break. They may have to go to different to places in the building. Make sure you account for those students as they leave your classroom, and sometimes it's tough to do. So, but make sure that those students are accounted for throughout the day as they're coming and going from the classrooms. So, okay, the dormitories, and Jose, you might be able to speak to this a little bit more. Usually in the dormitories, do you have like an attendant that's in charge of the dormitories?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
in the dormitories we have the dorm captains.
Okay, so they need to have, if possible, have a copy of every student. That's basically the same thing, just like an attendance list that the teachers in each classroom would have, so that there's some accountability. Okay, so as you're leaving, you don't want to rush those doors. Okay, the teachers need to reinforce that, and that's something that when we've run the drills in Kenya before, that we had to kind of reinforce, and we have to reinforce that with our students here too. So reinforce that with the teachers and with the students, that you don't rush the doors. You get up and you walk quietly in an orderly manner to those doors. to get out to exit the classrooms. Okay. As the classes leave, the teachers and the dorm attendants, the dorm captains, there to close the doors behind them. The reason being is obviously we want to try to stop the spread of fire. Okay, going to exit in an orderly manner down your exit accesses, your hallways, stairwells. You can exit in an orderly, quiet manner. Okay, once you get to those the assembly areas, teachers, make sure you get a roll call. Make sure you compare that to your list. You have the same number of kids that should be on your list. And if you have a real fire, that's a hard choice to make, but we don't want to see the teachers go back into a burning building, because then we may have 2 people to rescue instead of 1 or more. So that's some information you want to pass along to the fire brigade, that you have missing kids. Okay. Okay, as far as administrative procedures, that's kind of what I chose to title this as. You want to time those drills. I kind of tagged 5 minutes or less is a good goal to work towards. Obviously, some of your schools, they're larger facilities that may take a little bit longer, but try to shoot for 5 minutes, less if possible. Maintain a logbook. Put the dates and the times that it took to get out. The fire brigade members should look for that when they come to do your school inspections. Okay. Jose, I'm gonna ask you, do you know how often in Kenya they are required to do inspections on a per term basis?
Inspections usually when
Or
they
I
are
mean,
doing,
I'm sorry, on the fire drills. My bad.
Fire drills are supposed to be done once in a year.
Once in a year.
Yes, once in a year.
Wow.
At least, but okay. You can do it 3 times once in a term, but okay, at least once in a year.
Okay.
Is there an actual law regarding that at this point, Jose?
No, I don't think so. No, okay. Not that I know, but no, I don't think so. There is.
Okay. I would recommend, that's pretty lenient. My recommendation, and obviously there's no teeth. So does what I would say, no teeth in it, nothing to enforce it by. My recommendation is when you go out, when you're helping the schools to plan their fire drills, tell them that you would recommend that they do it at least twice in a term, just so that they get the practice to make them better. You know, like I said, in that bottom line on my slide, practice makes perfect. It's going to make them better. Here in my home state, the law says that we have to do it once a month. So that's by law. So I mean, you know, that's just a recommendation, but you know, just I would recommend that they do it at least twice a term. And like I say, you can, you know, they look to the fire brigade for guidance. So that would be a recommendation that I would make. So fire brigade members, they look to you guys. So something that I would recommend. So practice makes perfect. So, all right, let's move along. Okay, we're going to move along and talk about planning your inspections a little bit. So Something that I kind of wrote up and looked up. I'd had to do a little research on this to find this. This is a really horrible thing, this particular school incident. Is anybody familiar with this particular school fire? Yeah, Jose is shaking his head up and down, yes. So the research that I did on this fire, this happened in a school at Athi. Is it Athi River? Athi? Am I pronouncing that right? Close, Jose?
Yeah, right on time, right on it.
Okay.
Correct.
In 2001, in the high school, upper level school, secondary level school, dormitory fire. Apparently, one of the students several of the students were angry about their new principal. They didn't care for their new principal. So one of them went to town in Machacos, bought 13 liters of gasoline, managed to sneak it into the school, and at about 1:40 in the morning, lit it off. Unfortunately, the windows were all barred, and the main door to that dormitory was chained. And there ended up being 58 fatalities in that dormitory. Okay. So that's one reason why we do school inspections, is to keep facilities from doing things like that. So anyway, that's a horrible, horrible thing that happened there. To keep schools in compliance. So there again, just the purpose is to ensure a safe working learning environment, be able to make sure that the students can have a safe egress in the event of fire. Okay. One reason, and when you go and do a school inspection, your reason is not to go in and to say, I'm going to go in and get these guys, see what I can do. That's not the reason you do that. Your reason is, like I say, to make sure that school is safe, to keep those students safe, keep that staff safe. Just remember, when you go in, that's why you do it. You want to go in and build a good relationship, and the bottom line is keeping everybody safe. Okay, so if you can go in and do that, number one, you're going to have a better relationship, and your chances of getting them to do something are going to be better, and it's going to be easier to gain their compliance. So by going in with a good attitude. So part of the process is that, you want to train the staff, train them on what's your expectations and why you're doing the inspections. Another reason you can go in, when you go in and do your inspection, especially as a fire brigade, you can actually go in and get a good pre-plan of the school. You can go in and figure out where the classroom space is, where all of the exit doors are at, where the assembly areas are at, where the kitchen spaces are at, the other workspaces, things like that. So it gives you a good idea, if there's a fire, what the layout of the school is like. Okay. So when you do these inspections, as you're going through, if you see something good, give the staff some positive feedback. Say, hey, I really like that. You guys are doing a good job. Just as an example, if you see that things look really clean, say, wow, I like the way you're keeping your building clean. Good job. Keep it up. Just some things like that. Okay. So, and if you find a deficiency, something that isn't right, okay, tell them, okay, this is a deficiency. Okay. And this is why, explain the purpose of why it's a deficiency and why it needs to, why there's a rule that makes it a deficiency. Okay. And why we expect it to be kept up. So, okay. As far as enforcement of the rules, if you find some deficiencies, okay, try to use what we call progressive enforcement. Okay. If it's a minor rules violation, something that can be corrected with just a minor change, tell them we'll be back. Just fix that. We'll be back in a couple of weeks and take a look at it. Okay. Just get that done. Okay. If it's a little more, I don't know all of the rules, the ins and outs. And I'm going off of our systems here in the States. This is kind of a reference point. We have what's called violation warnings. Okay, it's a citation that you write, but there's no penalties for it. It's just a courtesy citation, but it's there's a written record. Okay, we can write what's called a violation warning. Okay, if there's something a little more serious that needs to be corrected, but it's not that serious, we can write what's called a violation warning citation. You can write that up and say, I'm going to write you this violation warning. There again, we'll be back in say a month. Okay, we need to get this corrected. But it's not that serious, but we just need to get this corrected. Okay. Something that's a little more serious that really needs corrected, you're going to write them a citation, which means that somebody has to go to court. In schools it's a little different, but they need to be somebody needs to answer for it. Okay. And finally, if it's something really serious, that school may need to be actually be closed. If it's something that's very serious, it's that it's a danger to the lives of the students, you may have to close it and get corrective action taken care of to make sure that the facility's up to the safety, make sure that the students are safe. Okay. Finally, in any inspection, violations are not to be used as a revenue stream for the fire brigade. Okay. Don't go out and take them to the courts to make money for the fire brigade or for the courts. Okay. That's not the reason why you do it. Okay. Okay. Things that we want to address when we do our inspections. Okay. The biggest thing that we want to address is the exiting. Okay. We want to make sure that the students and the staff can get out in a timely manner. Okay. Housekeeping. Housekeeping is very important. Housekeeping can keep a fire from starting. It can keep a fire small if it does start. Okay, so we want to address that. The building construction issues, there again, that can keep a fire from starting. Some of the construction issues have to do with exiting as well. So and then just some compliance issues as well. So, okay, exiting. There's basically three parts to exiting. So you have your exit access, your exits, and your exit discharge. And I'm going to talk a little bit about all three. It's a fairly important thing to understand about each one of them. Okay, your exit accesses. It's going to be your aisleways. Okay, that could be in like office areas, classrooms, areas like that. Passages, and usually your aisleways. Let me back up a little bit and talk about aisleways. We usually try, and this is by American codes. Jose, you might throw in any knowledge that you know about the Canyon fire codes. I know you've done a little bit of inspection in some of the areas for Missions of Hope. So, and I'm going to throw in American codes. Usually the aisleways here in the States are expected to be around roughly 1.2 meters wide, but we would say 48 inches for our fire codes. Again, passageways. Passageways are going to be like your hallways, like your decking on a lot of your schools, things like that. There again, that's going to be usually about the same, about 1.2 meters or bigger. And your exit accesses, that's what's leading to your exits, by the way. I didn't really give a good definition. Your passageways, things like that. Hallways, same thing. The stairwells, you have your outside stairwells. Your outside stairwells, I don't know that I've ever seen too many of them in Kenya. Some places have metal outside fire escapes. I don't know that I've seen very many of those, but you have outside and inside stairwells. Okay, there again, these are things that are going to lead to your exits from the building. So Jose, can you elaborate? Do you know any much about as far as your widths or anything?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm leaning on you, Jose. Sorry, buddy.
It's okay.
I'll during question and answer period, I'll ask some of the other students if they know. I'm going by American Fire Code. Okay, you're exiting. Okay, that's mainly going to be your doors. That's the actual passageway out of the building, so to speak. Mainly, you're talking about your doors. Okay. In our fire code, the new door construction is expected to be about 0.9 meters, basically 36 inches. So, and your security on your doors, that's a big thing. As we talked about in that case study, those doors were chained shut. That's unacceptable. Okay. When you do your inspection, they should never be chained shut. They should never be barred shut, locked. Any means of securing those doors from the outside that prevents people from exiting that building is unacceptable. That's probably and that's caused more school fire tragedies than any other thing is barring those doors. Okay, so when you check that, that's a big thing that you want to check for. Also, there needs to be an adequate number of doors for and exits for the number of students in the building, and that's a big thing in the fire code. And I have to look at that in the code books, because I can't tell you offhand without looking, because there's a formula that's in the fire code. Okay, moving along. Okay, exit discharges. Okay, these are going to be your pathways leading away from the building once they've hit those exit doors. Okay, so the big thing with the exit discharges is that they are unobstructed. That's the biggest thing. Okay, they're going to be leading to that to those assembly areas. Okay, we have to make sure that they're unobstructed. Okay, one of the big things is that I've seen, and is people like to park right up next to the buildings, and we can't do that. Okay, you need to have like no parking signs, things like that, to make sure that people can get out those doors and get right to the assembly areas. That and trash and boxes and storage and things like that. So we need to make sure that those exit discharges stay unobstructed. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Housekeeping, and I kind of touched on some of the housekeeping. And I'm going to jump over here because I made a bunch of notes here. So I'm going to jump here to my notes for a second. You guys are going to see probably a little bit of a different view here. So, gonna say I hit on the exits, and I'm going to hit on it again. Never chain, bar, lock, anything to make sure that those doors are blocked. Okay, make sure that your the doors work properly. Some doors are going to have like what we call panic hardware. Make sure that those doors work properly and push out properly. Okay. The exit accesses. Make sure. Hold on just a second. Make sure that those exit accesses are clear of debris. We didn't really talk much about that, but make sure that they're clear of debris. Make sure that they're clear of debris. Make sure that there's no flammables stored around exit accesses. A lot of times you'll see under stairwells and stuff, people will store paper. You'll see trash and stuff that gets piled up under the stairwells, things like that. Make sure that doesn't happen. Okay. The exit discharges. We hit on the parking and debris piling up around those exit discharges. Okay. Classrooms. Make sure that there's nothing blocking the accesses to the doors. Make sure that the dust bins get emptied, that there's no excess accumulation there. Make sure that the windows will open. You want to have those that second egress from those classrooms. Okay. Kitchens, work areas, the kitchens. Want to make sure that that cooking gas gets stored outside if they're using cooking gas. Make sure that their cooking areas are clean. Work areas, make sure that they're clean. Okay. Washrooms. Here in the U.S., that's a big place that the kiddies like to go in and start fires. We get called to a lot of schools because the kids will go in and light a fire in the dustbins. Okay, so make sure that the dustbins get emptied often. Make sure that there's not a lot of debris that gets piled up in the washrooms. Okay. Building exteriors, make sure that the vegetation around the building gets kept down. Rubbish gets kept from piling up. Okay, no hazardous materials stored around the exterior of the buildings. Okay, and one last housekeeping thing, it's like extinguishers, and I'll hit on that a little bit later. Okay. Building construction. Okay, we want to hit on that. Wiring, first thing I'll hit on there. Make sure that one of the big things is that you don't have exposed wiring. Okay, that's one of the biggest things. People like to add extra outlets on their own a lot of times. People will extend wiring through the walls. They'll extend extension cords. They'll poke holes through the walls and over the ceilings, things like that. That's a big no-no. Make sure that all wiring is in conduit, that it's been done properly by an electrician. Okay. Make sure that that your outlets, your electrical outlets, have covers over them. Okay. Make sure that your outlets aren't overloaded, that you have a whole bunch of cords plugged into one outlet, things like that. Alterations. Make sure that you don't have a bunch of holes poked through, and I kind of alluded to this just a second ago. People will poke holes to pass cords through walls, which is a no-no. Anything that where you've poked holes through walls, that's a good way for fire to pass through. Okay, we don't want to see that. Okay, we can't see that. Any alterations to the building construction. Okay. God, exterior stairwells. Oh, I know. The exterior stairwells. We talked a little bit about that. If they do have metal stairwells, metal fire escapes, make sure that those are intact. Make sure that the construction, or make sure that they're sound. Here in the U.S., we see a lot of those, especially on older buildings. They're in poor condition. Okay, so we want to inspect those to make sure that they're up to standard, because if you get people on those, they'll fall down and that could lead to a tragedy. So we want to make sure that if you have metal stairwells, that they're in good condition. And finally, make sure that the exit doors are in working condition, that they'll open properly. And you know, there again, no, if you see any kind of indication that there's been a bar or anything like that, bar or hardware put up for chains, that needs to come down immediately. Okay. I can't overemphasize that enough. That has led to more tragedies than anything else in schools as far as fires. Okay, as far as compliance issues, talked a little bit earlier when we were pre-planning our fire drills. We want to take a look at those logs to see if they've been doing their fire drills. Okay, we want to take a look. Remember when we pre-planned the fire drills, how we had talked about the maps with the evacuation routes. We want to take a look and see if they have those posted in the classrooms. That's important to make sure that they know their way out. Okay. Their alarm system. We want to make sure that they know their alarm system. Everybody is good with how they're going to sound their alarm. Okay, and finally, I alluded to that a little bit ago, their fire extinguishers. We want to check their fire extinguishers and make sure that their extinguishers have been getting serviced annually. And I know here we also try to take a look and make sure on a monthly basis, we have little cards on ours that we take a look at and then sign off to make sure that the seal hasn't been tampered with and that they're still pressurized on a monthly basis. I don't know there again. I don't know if that's something that you guys do. If it is, fine. If you just have to have them service month or yearly, that's fine too. So, but that's something that needs to be done is that your extinguishers need to be serviced. So anyway, on that, we will go to questions. Does anybody have questions? Open the floor.
Wow.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, Errol.
Good day. I just was thinking of the whole session in relation to all these schools are just normal schools. How about those special schools with the special population?
All the special needs students.
Yes.
That's a very good question, Errol. That's as far as pre-planning for evacuations on that. You have to, yeah, gosh. You put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I
can address that a little bit.
Nancy, yeah, if you would.
And let you add on to that, Brad.
Okay.
I think one thing that's super important with special populations, and this is from a social work perspective, is that we realize that sometimes we think that it means a whole different plan. And actually, the plan is the same and we add on. So if you're working with a population that is blind, you need to plan an evacuation or how the school is set up for evacuation based on the fact that the students may need extra guides to get out of the school, right? Or if you have individuals who have physical disabilities in your planning for any evacuations, you need to plan for who will assist those children out of the building. And so those are things that, again, are part of your pre-planning and discussions with the schools. And really it's going to be individualized based on the individual needs that you see. But the planning is the same. You just add on those additional recommendations that you might need and brainstorm that with the teachers. The teachers know their students. So, you know, you don't have to have all of the answers. You can help have those discussions with the schools.
I think that's good, Nancy. I think you hit it. Each school has different staff members dependent upon the needs of their students. So that is going to help as far as dealing with that evacuation. You can do, like I said, like Nancy said, dealing with that evacuation. They will know what's best and how they can get their students out of there. And they're going to have the numbers. They're going to have the numbers to help get some of those students out, especially with the ones that have more physical needs. So there again, like Nancy said, that's something you have to pre-plan. So that's a good question, though.
And that goes to the importance of needing to do drills. In a school like that, you might need to do drills more frequently, fire drills more frequently for how to plan that escape. And what some of the different scenarios are, you may need to practice and recommend to the school that they practice more frequently.
Yep. Good question. That's a very good question. That's something that sometimes we overlook, but yeah, that's a good question, something to address. Do you have a school in your jurisdiction that has some special needs students?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. That would be something that you need to approach with them and ask them how you can work with them as far as addressing fire drills. So and maybe do some pre-planning with them.
All right, well, we'll have some additional time for questions here. I am going to go ahead and formally end the training portion, but we'll have some additional time if you have some questions. I just really want to thank Brad for the training today. Excellent discussion and reminders of the importance of planning in schools and what we need to do. I will remind everyone, I dropped some links in the chat for our fire safety curriculum. We have a specific program for schools that includes how to talk to children, how to work with teachers, how to help teachers that maybe have never done drills to conduct their first drill. And so how to help set that up, it walks through every step of that so that you don't feel like you don't know what you're doing as you're trying to teach them. This guide has everything there for you. So I encourage you to utilize that, modify it in the way that you need. If you only have 2 hours, figure out what the most important thing is. Some of us might think, oh, that's teaching fire extinguishers. It might not be. Maybe your school already has information on how to use fire extinguishers. You may need to talk to them about how to get students out of the building in case there's a fire, and touch briefly on fire extinguishers. So really think of the priorities when you're getting in front of schools and in front of teachers. What do they really need to know and what is available to them with regard to what they know? Remembering you're starting from the very beginning with many of these teachers. I know the first time AFM went into a school, we were working with the very basics because the teachers didn't have that knowledge. And some of you may be still gaining that knowledge as well. And so reviewing the materials that are available to you so that you can start somewhere. And that's the most important thing. So with that, I'm going to pass things back to Jose. I'll drop the link here in just a moment for the evaluation and also some other resources from AFM. We will have the recording of this available soon. So thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you.